good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching in the world, and a very, very warm welcome to the Red Bull Ring for round 3 of Season 4 of the IMB World Series League GT3 US contingent. And we are here at the famed Styrian countryside in Spielberg at the Red Bull Ring, which has been opened since, well, for the best part of just over half a century, and an altitude of 677 meters over sea level. And as you can see, 18 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees, 30% worth of humidity, minimal winds, but lots of elevation changes, and welcoming, well, it's the return of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and a very big hello to my good friend, Mr. David Christie. David, how are you doing, buddy? It's only been 7 days and we're back here for round 3.
It feels like it was only yesterday, has it? It's just, it's flown by, but what a night. I mean, if EU's anything to go by, so much to get up to speed with. And for the first time this season, Alex, we have some league standards for you to go through.
Yes, indeed. Let's have a look through them. So here are the pro standings. It has been a dominant season for Paul Busby, as he currently leads on 230 points. And Harry Wills and Kyle Boz equal second. Well, Harry Wills, based on results, is second in the championship, both on 197 points. Sean Ryan and Ryan Koprowski round out the top 5. Dean Timms, Dave Meneno, Kai DL, Luis Rivera Colon and Daniel Tenorio round out the top 10 in the pro standings. Then we have a look at the Pro-Am. Chase Wilson, 219 points, just 23 ahead of Justin Delano, who did a fantastic job in the feature race back at Hockenheim just 7 days ago. Errol Yuriksoy has been a bit in the wars, so has Richie Tramaco and James Nunn, and they round out the top 5 positions ahead of Steve Martinez, Justin Ristal, Ashraf El Haddad, Eric Kalaga and Adam Moy. Last but by no means least, Matthew Plaisance, Michael Fowler and Braden Melling, top 3 separated by just a single point coming to this third round of the championship. Rick Swan, Daniel Florea complete the top 5 positions. John Casey, Andrew Rasmussen, Paul Klist, Charles Michel and Jake Shear round out the top 10 in the AM classifications. So this particular circuit, the Red Bull Ring, has a lot of history. Originally known, first of all, as the Österreichring, and that was between 1970 to 87, and then it was shortened, rebuilt, and rechristened the A1 Ring, which again hosted the Austrian Grand Prix from 1997 to 2003, and now in the Red Bull Ring. There you see the big Red Bull itself, and we have to give our condolences to the passing of late co-founder of Red Bull, Dietrich Mateschitz, who on the weekend of the US Grand Prix at the age of 76 passed away. So our thoughts are with his friends and family, and all the Red Bull family at this time, who are still very much affected by Dietrich's passing. Here's the grids. So Paul Busby once again pole position, but this time he's joined by Dave Meneno in the Lamborghini alongside Dan Tenorio and Harry Wills on row 2. Dean Timms and Luis Colon row 3. Wilson Brewer and Ryan Koprowski row 4, with Kai DL and Taylor Lane completing the top 10 in the pro class. So in Pro-Am, Chris Long takes pole position this time round, ahead of Canada's Jeremy Littleton, with Adam Moy and Ashraf El Haddad in row 2. Chase Wilson and Justin Delano round out row 3, with John Traynor and Richie Tramaco. Richard Rosado and Steve Martinez round out the top 10, with Nicholas Robinson and James Nunn completing the top 6 rows as the Porsche pace car leads the pro class away. Daniel Florea, pole position in the AM class this time, ahead of Andrew Rasmussen, with Mark Chapman and Braden Melling on row 2. Jason Ahrensberg and Matthew Plaisance row 3. Matt Scherf and Ethan Swan row 4. Michael Fowler and Rick Swan ran at the top 10, with Andrew Hewitt and Eric Blumenkrantz completing the top 12 positions in the pro class. So the pace car very shortly will be peeling into pit lane as the drivers now make their way through this fast sweeping right-hander here at turn 10. Pro class about to get underway with the first of 2 races. 25 minutes in the first one, 50 minutes for the feature plus a mandatory pit stop. So it's Paul Busby on the front row, Dave Meneno alongside. So the lights now go on, the green flag waves, the pedal goes to the metal. Once again, a great start by Paul Busby as the field makes its way up the incline. It's around about a 63-metre change in elevation here at the Red Bull Ring. Paul Busby takes the lead coming into the first corner. Side by side, I think, between Wills and somebody else. That might have been Tenorio. As now the Pro-Am class gets underway. Chris Long gets the best start out of anybody and pulls ahead of Littleton, with Moy towards the outside going through into turn 1. Justin Delano really trying to catch up with Chase Wilson as the Pro-Am class makes their way up the hill through turns 2 and into the hard braking zone. Daniel Florea and Andrew Rasmussen will lead the field here in the Am class as they are under starters order. And now they get going. So Daniel Florea from Twisted Racing gets the good start in the Ferrari. Rasmussen in the Audi. Braden Melling looking up the inside of Chapman for P3 going through the first corner. They do have a little bit of a touch coming through the exit of turn number 1. And everyone thus far making it through. Adam Moy in the number 26, the New York-based driver. So P3 in the Pro-Am class as they're going down the hill here into the infield complex, which is very challenging at its best times, and it's a bit like a roller coaster here, David, isn't it?
It really is. The elevation change is absolutely incredible. You really have to experience it to believe it, and that's one of the great things about these sims, is the fact that you really get an understanding. As you see Harry Wills try to make a move on Dave Menino there into P2, and it's a much calmer start, I think, for this race than we had in the likes of the EU race earlier on. Certainly, Alex, the second race was absolutely bedlam.
Right, Harry Wills looking towards the outside of Dave Menino in the run up the hill towards turn 3. The Mercedes on the outside of the McLaren. Dave Menino was, I think if I remember correctly, was actually running in a Lamborghini for the last couple of rounds. So Dave Menino trying to go with one of the old tried and tested cars, the McLaren MP412C. Ashraf El Haddad, though, has made some headway and is challenging Moy. Well, is ahead of Moy going into the next left-hander, but Chase Wilson looking up the inside. John Traynor having a bit of a battle there. That is with Richie. That might be with Richie Tremaco or Traynor, I believe. Kalaga, Michael Kalaga from Vulture Motorsports battling away. That is going to be with Nunn. That's James Nunn. He's very much at the sharper end of the grid in the feature race back at Hockenheim, but Daniel Florea and Andrew Rasmussen have got nearly a 2.2 second advantage over the third placed car, and Ashraf El Haddad and Adam Moy still going. Oh, Adam Moy's getting a bit brazen. He's trying to swing it around the outside. Now this is going through, I think, turn 6 and 7 as they're going through the right hand kink here at turn 8, which is going to put them down the dip. They've got Justin Delano and Chase Wilson not too far behind. And Moy again runs wide coming out of turn 9. Ashraf El Haddad, though, has managed to get through. Track limits again circumvented, and that's allowed a 3-way scrap for what is 4th position. Chase Wilson manages to get the drag. So does Justin Delano. Delano's going to look through for the inside on Chase Wilson into T1, and the Porsche makes it through. That was a great bit of driving there.
Oh, there was contact, though, Alex. I just had a big crunch a little bit further behind. I think that might have been Stephen Martinez, but there was definitely a massive crunch occurred about 2 further cars down.
I think you're right there, so some great battling up and down the order. Richie Tremaco's actually switched. He was in a Mercedes, wasn't he, the first couple of rounds, and now he's changed to the good old Porsche 911 GT3R, so hopefully that car will be very good round the very twistier stuff. But Chase Wilson and Justin Delano having a very, very good battle. Now this is going to be Wilson Brewer in the number 16. This is coming into this right-hander here. What's going to happen? He's going to lose the back. Oh, he's gone onto the kitty litter and he's just spun the back end round. And that was very, very close. I think that was Andrew Hewitt that managed to get through on that one.
Oh, Alex, honestly, see tonight in that second race, that sort of thing just caused so many problems. Thankfully for Wilson, that was actually a really safe move because he pulled himself straight off the track. But we saw that all the way through tonight, cars rolling back on the grid, and at least 5 to 6 cars were taken out with that.
Been a bit of a development in the pro class. Ryan Kaprowski and Kai DL are both out. This is what happened with Kaprowski. So the number 93 Mercedes makes its way through. It's going to be, that's going to just turn around. And now does he get his He's held onto the brakes. He's started to rejoin. Now, I'm not too sure what happened there, but I thought there was going to be a secondary impact, but Ryan Kaprowski has dropped, and he's been in the pits now for 20 seconds. We're going to have a look here. This is with James Nunn in the number 75 Lamborghini Huracan. Now, this is into the right-hander here, loses the back end, nearly collects the 52 in the process. James Nunn was very, very lucky there indeed, but the biggest casualty in the pro class is actually Kai Diel, who after 4.5 minutes has rejoined. And this is, now that is between, that is Braden Melling and the number 18 car. That was of Mark Chapman, and that was going through turn 9. So that has really changed. And there's been a massive drama. There's been 4 cars involved in that. So Rosado, Heb, Calaga. So we're going to see a replay here. So Richard Rosado in the number 10 car is going to pull to the inside of the number 94. Sends it up the inside. And the Porsche just comes across. That was the Wildcard Racing Porsche that just basically turned in. Maybe might not have thought that Richard Rosado was there. So a few more casualties. And with this track at some points being 10 metres wide in some places, Dave, there's going to be minimal room for overtaking, isn't there?
There really is, Alex. It makes it so difficult. We spoke to a couple of the drivers earlier on, or at least Ewan and Zach did, and they said that while it's a fun track to race at, it's very frustrating with the fact that there's just no opportunity, or at least that's what it feels like to the drivers tonight, Alex. So again, with this first race, even more so than the second race, you have to get your elbows right out if you're wanting to make moves here.
Very much the case. Ashraf El Haddad is closing in on John Littleton. Now this is for second position in the class, whereas Long at the moment has pulled a bit of a gap. That's Chris Long. We're going to see a replay here. Now this is James Hebb in the Rhino Motors Lamborghini Huracan GT3. Now, this is into the right-hander, and he's got nowhere to go. I think it was just like a massive rate of knots, and that Mercedes there, Richard Rosado, was in the way, so James Hebb just came across it and really had to put on the anchors. It was lucky enough he didn't actually spear into the side and T-bone Rosado at that point.
It's a horrible one to watch, isn't it? Because there's absolutely no malice in that whatsoever. He's just coming round the corner, and there's a car just presented itself in the middle of the track here. This looks like it's going to be an optimistic send here. Oh man, you hate to see it, because I know I said about elbows out, but that's just a little bit too aggressive for my liking.
That was Mark Chapman again. So one incident with Braden Melling, now one with Paul Joseph Clist. So it's not been an easy one for the number 91 from the UK. Ethan Swan currently running P5. You've got Jason Arensberg, and also now Braden Melling is closing back in. So Melling's had a bit of a good recovery. At the moment, though, in terms of the race lead overall, Paul Busby is leading Harry Wills by 0.8 of a second. And looking at the lap times, Harry Wills, that car is really cornering on rails, because that was nearly 0.3 quicker that time round. Now, Harry Wills has been one of a handful of drivers, including Paul Busby, that have opted not to change their cars. And there's a drama there for Chris Long. Chris Long was leading the Pro-Am class. What's happened here? So we're going to see a replay down the hill into the right-hander, the 97. What's going to happen here? Probably a bit too much throttle. Yeah, he's gone on the kitty litter. He's gone on the kitty litter and lost the back end. And Chris Long still trying to rejoin. It's dropped him all the way down to 14th position. There's now Taylor Lane from Fiercely Forward in the number 32 car. Jumps into pit lane. So John Littleton now leads the way in the Pro-Am class ahead of Ashraf El Haddad and Chase Wilson. And the good thing is that is a three-way scrap for the lead in the Pro-Am class, with only a second covering the top 3 cars.
I'm a little bit confused as to why Taylor Lane's had to go into the pits there, unless he's got some sort of damage there. But of course, this is just a 25-minute race, so there's no pit stops needed for this. So it must be a necessity rather than a part of the plan, I would have thought here.
Yeah, I think so too. But there's Jason Arensberg from Vulture Motorsports. Hope his nephew is watching again. He always seems to be cheering him on. But great to see that Arensberg is doing a great defensive job. He's trying to catch up with the Audi in front. which is Rick Swan, I believe. We're going to go to another replay here. Now, this is John Casey from 046 Racing. And this corner is catching so many people out. This is effectively turn 9, and well, he loses the back end of the Ferrari before he's actually touched with the kitty litter on the outside, like a few drivers have done. Andrew Hewitt is now getting himself very much stuck in. He's actually got himself between Braden Melling and Jason Arensberg. So Andrew Hewitt, who, we'll be honest, has been struggling for the first couple of rounds, David, has really started to come into some good form here. I mean, the Porsche is going to be very, very capable around this circuit.
The problem, though, with that, Alex, is it too late? I mean, we're only on round 3, but such has been the performance and the repeat performance from these drivers here. I think that you really can't afford to be missing more than 1 or 2 rounds in terms of your peak wins and peak performance and stuff like that. However, I mean, plenty of things can happen. We've had enough experience over all of the different championships we've done together, Alex, to know that you can get a hot shot that comes in, maybe say on the first quarter of the race, maybe has a couple of bad races, but then absolutely dominant towards the end of the season. We've seen that happen time and time again here. That was a beautiful move around the outside.
Well, John Littleton was actually keeping Ashraf El Haddad at bay. Now it's brought in Chase Wilson back into the mix for the Pro-Am class lead. As down the hill they go, they're just negotiating their way through into what will be very shortly the left-hander here at turn 7, as John A. Casey definitely battling away. That's going to be Swan and the Mercedes alongside, and Casey actually pins it round the outside. That would have been on Rick Swan, as here goes Braden Melling up the inside of that is Andrew Hewitt in the number 7 Porsche, but the Porsche seems to have a little bit of the legs on the BMW. But Andrew Rasmussen is currently leading the class. Does Braden Melling go for the send? Yes, he does. Neatly on the apex. Manages to keep in front of the Porsche. So a good move there from Braden Melling to now get himself up into 7th in the class. So this battle, I think, could be waging on. We're past the halfway point of this 25-minute sprint race. Nicholas Robinson battling away with Justin Ristow for 9th position in the Pro-Am class. Ristow stays behind. Meanwhile, we've still got this battle going on. Littleton earlier on, well, he had El Haddad up the inside of him through the turn 3 right-hander. Now, El Haddad's got a great run out of turn 3. They're going to go down into turn number 4. A little bit of a roller coaster here. Chase Wilson is very much in earshot, and so is John Traynor. Traynor has been closing. Steve Martinez in 5th position is being closed in on by Justin Delano, as there's a drama there for Adam Moy in the number 26 from Olympus Esports. So what on earth has happened to him? It's now Harry Wills is trying to close in on Paul Busby, but we're going to see, well, Harry Wills, I think he's, shades of Hockenheim maybe. He's gone a little bit wide. It's into the final corner, and he's run very, very wide indeed. Thank goodness he wasn't doing any pirouetting that point, as Matthew Plaisance has a little bit of a tank slapper in the Porsche coming out of turn number 6. And he does again. Oh my dearie me, and he nearly gets collected by those behind. So Matthew Plaisance, thank goodness. I mean, we saw back at Hockenheim in the feature race. We can have a replay here of Adam Moy from Olympus Esports. Now this is up the hill into turn number 3 as there's a battle going on ahead. So Adam Moy, too much curb on the inside, and it just spins it 90 degrees to the right hand side. So very, very lucky there. But David, Traynor is closing that gap as the top 3 in Pro-Am, with Littleton leading El Haddad and Wilson, are separated by just under 6.5 tenths going through turn 3.
Cracking little fight this for the top 3 in Pro-Am right now. As you said, Chase Wilson right up there as well, but John Traynor, yeah, he is starting to sneak up there, 1.2 seconds behind that little group. All it's going to take is these two to start fighting each other as well. Harry Wills has dropped off massively off the back of your pro leader Paul Busby right now, and also Andrew Rasmussen. I make that about 4 seconds that he's got of a lead in the AM group as well.
That's an impressive run by Andrew Rasmussen. We have seen flashes of brilliance from him so far this season, and tonight is really no exception. So we are going to see over the course of the next 10 minutes, because that's what we've got left on the timer, folks, because this Pro-Am battle is very much heating up. We go back to the Pro class, and Dean Timms, the number 46 from Twisted Racing, ahead of the number 2 of Dave Meneno, with that is Dan Tenorio in the 5th place car. That's the number 17. As now, Ashraf El Haddad looking for the move up the inside of John Littleton into turn 1. The Porsche gets the inside line, gets the apex nicely, gets through. This could open the door for Chase Wilson if he stays in the slipstream of the Porsche of Ashraf El Haddad as they go up the hill. They're going to go through effectively into turn 2 now. Chase Wilson, do not try and split them. He's going to try to the outside. Ashraf El Haddad loses the lead to Littleton. Wilson tries to go around the outside of the Porsche through turn 3. And this could be a dynamic shift in what happens as Chase Wilson threads the eye of the needle. The Lamborghini right in the middle of the sandwich with the Ferrari in front and a Porsche behind. And John Traynor is loving every single second of this. I think he's smiling like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland as Chase Wilson now trying to look to see if he can put that Lamborghini past the Ferrari of Jeremy Littleton as they go down the hill through turn number 6. We ride on board with Jeremy Littleton from Canada into the next left-hander here at T7 for this slight right-hand kink. Oh, that was a bit of a moment there for Chase Wilson. Did he get an assist from Ashraf El Haddad is the biggest thing. I'm wondering if El Haddad was right up his back bumper, there might have been a slight assist, but they go through into turn number 9. And Wilson now falling into the clutches of John Traynor.
I'm not so sure on that one. I think that Chase Wilson managed to lose that all by himself. Certainly we can have another little look here. It was coming over the curbs there. Oh, see, I think he'd already snapped, but heck of a lucky to avoid that car in front. So yeah, full props there to Ashraf El Haddad there for avoiding that car.
Yeah, he did the right thing there. He just tried to keep to the left-hand side of Chase Wilson, and that worked out. At the moment, we've got Eric Blumenkrantz battling away. So we're going to see, now this is a replay, briefly. Yeah, Chase Wilson, yeah, just the car just snaps to the left on the back axle. So we're now with Eric Blumenkrantz going into turn number 9, and the number 61, just loses the back end to the left. At least it was a little bit of a sideways drift, but now it's really kicking off in a little bit further. Well, the thing is, just going through, that was Dan Tenorio, I think, and just ahead, who is now ahead of Dave Meneno. So the number 17 Porsche gets ahead of the number 2 McLaren. So Tenorio up to 4th, Dave Meneno down to 5th place. So a good scrap here, and good to see that the McLaren's getting a little bit of love in this as well.
It is, however, that Lamborghini I think needs more than a little bit of love, Alex. I think it needs a little bit of TLC, a cuddle, and maybe a couple of plasters after that, because James Nunn looks like possibly being into the barrier. And listen, this has been the theme of the night. We saw this all through the EU. It seems to be the slower corners where that back end just kind of loses the grip. They either get a wheel onto the grass or whatever, and the car just whips around. The big thing to watch out is maybe not so much in the 25-minute race here, Alex, but the full race later on is these Porsches.
Yeah, and now Ashraf El Haddad out of turn number 3, side by side with Jeremy Littleton for the race lead in Pro-Am, and El Haddad, as he got the job done, he has going in to the next right-hander. That will be at turn number 4, whereas Richie Tremaco, having switched from Mercedes to Porsche, trying to battle away with Chris Long, who was leading the class until he dropped it a little bit, dropped the ball a little bit earlier on. We're heading into the final 5 minutes, so we're just over 5 minutes to go. Let's run through your respective class leaders in all 3 classes. So at the moment, Paul Busby, the dominant force in Pro, leading by nearly 4.1 seconds. So there is your race leader heading up the hill in towards turn 3. Second position at the moment, Harry Wills in the number 95, who's trying to make his way through some back marker traffic. Then we've got Dean Timms in the number 46 as Harry Wills got very, very close to that Porsche there. That was nearly squeaky bum time. That was Matthew Plaisance he just overtook coming through. Ashraf El Haddad now leads the class in Pro-Am, as we've got the battle for second and third not too far behind, as Jeremy Littleton and Chase Wilson less than a tenth and a half apart as they head their way up the hill through turn 2 and into turn 3. Let's have a look at also what's going on in the AM class. Who is leading that at the moment? Well, it's Andrew Rasmussen from Illinois in the number 12 Twisted Racing Audi. He currently leads the class at the moment, ahead of Michael Fowler in the number 54, who's in second position, 6.1 seconds adrift in the Twisted Racing Team Mercedes, and not too far behind he's also got a fellow teammate, Twisted Racing's very own Daniel Florea, rounding out the top 3 positions. There are some really great battles actually. I've just spotted you've got Scherf, Swan and Hewitt battling away, but then you've also got this little squabble here. That's Nicholas Robinson with Justin Riestau. Riestau just went wide, and then we go back to Swan, Hewitt, and Scherf. Scherf in the 6th place car. It's all for themselves out here at the moment, as Ethan Swan makes his way out of turn number 3. He's got Andrew Hewitt trying to close him down a little bit further back. Here comes Chase Wilson. It's the charge of Santa Agatha Bolognese as the Lamborghini makes its way through. And does Chase Wilson take it nice and tight on the apex through turn 1? He does, and he blocks off Littleton. So good move there by the current Pro-Am points leader.
Absolutely fantastic. That's exactly what you want to see, isn't it, Alex? Nice, cool, collected move. Obviously telegraphed many corners ago, and that's what we see time and time again, is the fact that, you know, the moves that end up in failure are the ones that are just like a last minute decision, whereas it's all about getting that good run out of the corner, getting that long run down the straight, and then sending it. Like here, I mean, you've got Kalaga side by side with James Nunn. You know, it's never going to be done on the way into the corner for the likes of Kalaga on the outside, but it's all about that exit and how he gets the run up the hill.
It is indeed, and James Nunn makes his way through. Justin Riestau up the inside of Nicholas Robinson again. And who have they got behind them? That looks to be Gary Brown. So Gary Brown didn't have much luck at Hockenheim. We've got a battle a little bit further back. That's Chris Long versus Adam Moy. So Gary Brown from the Vulture Motorsports crew in the number 49 Porsche. Really trying to give Justin Riestau and Nicholas Robinson something to think about. Jeremy Littleton, oh, that was a little bit of a run wide. You can see there's a little bit, someone's gone off. Someone's gone off a little bit further
Justin
back.
Delano.
Justin Delano. Oh, our feature race winner from round 2 at Hockenheim. He is literally, I think he just went straight on. We're going to have a look at the replay. Oh, he just lost the back end. It fishtails, it snaps. And Delano, he did clatter the barriers. That's going to be damage to the right front suspension, I think, and the steering. So Delano was very lucky to get away with that one, probably with minimal damage there, David.
That is going to be a really awkward one, because especially on that right hand side, as soon as you get anywhere near that front right and any sort of hit whatsoever, that's the steering damage. And when you get steering damaged on a 25-minute race, Alex, you might as well just pack up shop, because that thing is absolutely done. As from the middle of last week there, Nicholas Robinson gets absolutely clattered by Gary Brown there. And, well, that was maybe a little bit forceful for my liking, but hey-ho. He gets the position, and to be fair, even though it might have been forceful, it's still very oh no, as Braden Melling.
Oh, that BMW's had its front end. That's had more than plastic surgery. I think that's had. He just lost it coming out of turn 3, and bang, straight into the barriers. Oh, it's not gone well for Braden Melling. He was third into the championship coming into this. You know, the top 3 in AM was separated by just 1 point. That's going to completely change in terms of complexity, as we're going to be we're now on to what's going to be our final lap of this race, as we've got just 30 seconds. 30 seconds plus an additional lap. So the white flag will be out next time that Paul Busby, who's just over 55% through what will be lap number 17 at the Red Bull Ring here for round 3. But Michael Fowler having close company from Daniel Florea. Matthew Plaisance in the meantime looking up the inside of Eric Blumenkrantz, going into what will be the next right-hander. This will be down the hill. So Plaisance makes it through. on Blumenkrantz. Now that would have been going through turns 4 and 5. Now they're into the left-hander here at 6, down the hill once again. So very much a case of it's going to assist with regards to the momentum carry through the corners. But as we've seen multiple times, Plaisance runs wide. That's going to give Blumenkrantz the opportunity. Checker flag is out. Paul Busby, 5 wins out of 5. Second, it's Dean Timms. Dave Menano rounds out the top 3. Good run by Luis Colon in the number 19 car, who rounds out the top 4, having started 6th on the grid. Dan Tenorio was in the top 4 positions. He's going to cross the line in 6th position, but it's going to be a new race winner in the Pro-Am class, and joining the Roll of Honour this season, it's going to be the number 96 Porsche. Ashraf El Haddad hangs on. Chase Wilson will extend his points lead after this race by taking 2nd position. And Jeremy Littleton holds off John Traynor for 4th place. And we've got a little bit of a wait as Steve Martinez gets through. But they're still squabbling away. Robinson and Long at each other's throats at the moment. Adam Moy also trying to get in. Justin Riestow gets through, takes 8th position ahead of Gary Brown, but it's Andrew Rasmussen, the Illinois-based driver, comes out of the final corner. He is going to take another. I think that's more than just one victory. He's had another there, and Michael Fowler is going to take 2nd position from Daniel Florea. Florea was closing in the dying stages. But, well, David, what a way to start off the evening here at the Red Bull Ring. I mean, absolutely brilliant stuff tonight. Yeah,
brilliant race. They did themselves very, very proud there, I think, Alex. There was contact here and there. It's always going to happen. That's the thing with it, purely because of how narrow that track can be at times, how very difficult it is for cars to get themselves overtaken. But yeah, really enjoyed that. Hopefully that means we're going to get a really enjoyable race too here, Alex.
Indeed. Let's take you through the provisional results for the Pro-Am and Am classes. So Paul Busby, 5 wins out of 5, winning by 8.1 seconds ahead of Dean Timms. Dave Menano, switching to McLaren for this week, takes P3 ahead of Harry Wills, with Dan Tenorio rounding out the top 5. Wilson Brewer, Luis Colon, rounding out the top 7, who all finished on the lead lap. Ryan Koprowski, despite having to spend 4.5 minutes in the pits, would be the last of the classified finishers, with Taylor Lane and Kai Diel out of the race. Then we turn to Pro-Am. Ashraf El Haddad becomes the latest race winner, ahead of Chase Wilson, who continues his steady run of consistency this season so far. Jeremy Littleton, best result for him so far this season, in 3rd place, despite having at some points actually led it. John Traynor and Stephen Martinez rounds out the top 5, ahead of Justin Delano, Jeff Carollo, Justin Riestow, Gary Brown and Nicholas Robinson, who was flashing the headlights of the number 49 after Brown made a bit of a robust move. Chris Long, Adam Moy, Richie Trimaco, of the classified finishers, with James Hebb and Richard Rosado out early doors. Andrew Rasmussen picks up his 2nd win in a row. He took the feature race back at Hockenheim 7 days ago, finishing 5.5 seconds ahead of Michael Fowler. Daniel Florea, Jason Arensberg having a good result in the number 58 car, finishing ahead of Max Scherf, with Andrew Hewitt, Ethan Swan, Rick Swan, Mark Chapman, John Casey, Matthew Plaisance having a different one as well. So did, Eric Blumenkrantz, finishing in P12 with Charles Bichelle, Braden Melling finishing in 14th position, Paul Joseph and Jake Shear being the last of the classified finishers. So, looks like we've got some drivers to have a chat with. So, first of all, I'm going to bring in the number 93. Let's bring in Ryan Koprowski. And let's have a chat with him first of all. Ryan, a very good evening. Not probably the way that you wanted to start tonight's racing here at the Red Bull Ring.
Oh, yeah, good evening, guys. Yeah, definitely, definitely a tough one out there today with, having some off tracks in qualifying, so I didn't have any valid laps there. So I'm already starting at the back of my class, and then, just rather unfortunate just to be caught up with an incident involving myself and my teammate, just put me back a lot with repairs. So, but I figured, let's just keep trucking on, and, because it's good, because I honestly probably need just the track time with the Merc around Red Bull Ring. So, it it was also good, carving my way back through the AM class as well. So it was, it's bad, the result wasn't where I wanted, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
I think one of the things that myself and David have been talking about since we started round one about the standard of driving in the USA League. I mean, it's been absolutely brilliant. Would you agree with that in many respects? Because like, there's a lot of racing room given, and people that might get the blue flag are sort of like using great spatial awareness, just like thinking, well, they're battling in their class, I'll let them go. The standard of racing has been exceptional, hasn't it, so far?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. The standard of racing has been, very fantastic. And I've been having a lot of fun. It's the reason why I keep coming back and doing these leagues, because the standard of racing compared to, doing your regular, daily races on the service are, could be mostly misses than hits. But yeah, no, the traffic management, has been really good. A lot of people have been very situationally aware, which is good. And it's just a lot of clean racing, which is a lot of fun.
Brilliant. Well, Ryan, I know that your best result was at the opening round of the feature race. Good luck for race 2. We'll hopefully catch up with you at some point, so good luck.
Yep, thank you guys.
Well, a big thank you there to Ryan. Let's see if we can bring in Braden Melling, because it wasn't an easy race for the number 8. Braden, a very good evening. I was hoping that you were going to have a better race here in the sprint race here in race 1, but it didn't quite pan out that way. Just tell us what happened from your perspective.
Well, I mean, the race started well. I qualified pretty much as well as I expected. And, I was having a great race there with Chapman, but just accidental contact going into the last 2 corners spun us both around. And then it was just, from there on, it just kept getting progressively worse and worse until last lap spun it and ended up giving myself a black flag there. And yeah, so that's a 30-second penalty. So if I didn't get that, I would have finished 10th. But yeah, now I think I'm going to be starting 12th on the grid if my math is right.
I mean, that still gives you an opportunity to get through the field a little bit, with especially the second race, where you've got that added strategy call of trying to do the humongous overcut or undercut, depending on how powerful it is here at the Red Bull Ring. What are your optimistic thoughts about race 2?
Optimistic. I'm hoping I can somehow carve my way out into a top 5. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This track is just really difficult. It definitely is not one of my strongest tracks. But yeah, I mean, best thing I can do is just going forward for this race is just play it smart, try and make many clean passes as I can, and hopefully I can pull off like some good race-winning strategy at the end there, if I'm lucky.
Well, fingers crossed for you, Braden. Thanks for having a quick chat with us, and good luck for race 2.
Thanks.
Okay, we've got a couple more drivers to speak to. Actually, you know what? Let's do something that I sometimes do like to do. Let's bring in both Chase Wilson and Andrew Rasmussen. Chase, first of all, let's come to you. That was a hell of a battle between yourself, Ashraf El Haddad, and Jeremy Littleton. That must have been, from a driver's perspective, quite the adrenaline-filled adventure.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we race out here. It was a really fun battle up front. Unfortunately, or fortunately for Ashraf, we caught a little bit of lap traffic going into about 5 minutes to go and got separated, but it was such a fun battle. Being that close with all the respect everyone's giving, it's been a really fun race tonight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously now you've got an opportunity, you're going to be towards the back end of the top 10, but there's that Lamborghini strong around here. We didn't really see you put that much foot wrong, did we?
You might have saw me one time take it through the gravel.
Yeah, the wiggle through turn 7, where I thought that Ashraf might have given you a little bit of assist from behind, but the back end of the Lamborghini snapped to the left and it just caught you out and dirtied your tyres because you went through the gravel.
Yeah, that was nothing from Ashraf. That was completely clean racing. I did tap him going in like the second corner, maybe lap 3, so I had to apologize to him for that. But I just got caught off guard being so close to that Ferrari, and then took my foot off the gas and kind of lost the rear, but luckily was able to keep it facing the correct direction and finish the race.
Well, Chase, thanks for that, buddy. Have a good one for race 2. Andrew, let's turn to you now. 2 wins on the bounce, winning the feature at Hockenheim last week, and now you win your first sprint race of the season. You must be feeling a bit on cloud 9 at the moment.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Same setup this week. I think I found the sweet spot with the car. So, very similar track though. Very lends well to the Audi, I should say. A couple slow speed corners with tight exits and high. I lost for the words here, but high traction demand is what I'm looking for. Car does well in that scenario, so yeah, good.
Exactly. I mean, the Audi does have a very, very good power plant, and this is really going to sort of hopefully bring you into what has really been, I think, looking at it from this perspective, out of everybody, like say Matthew, Braden, Rick, Daniel, John, I think you placed ahead of all of them. So this is really going to bring your role within the championship dynamic. I mean, I know we're only halfway through the 3rd round, but this could be a very, very good sort of point where Plaisance, Mailing, and everybody else is going to have to watch out for you this season.
I sure hope so. As long as I don't have another spa.
True.
It should be a good battle to the end.
Well, Andrew, thanks very much for briefly talking to us, and have a little bit of a breather. Get ready for race 2. Good luck.
Sure, guys. Thanks.
Well, it was wonderful to hear from all the drivers there that just spoke to us after the conclusion of race 1. We're going to go to a little bit of a breather now here, go to a little bit of a break. We'll be back in a few minutes' time as we gear up for the feature race here for round 3 of the IMB Racewear WSL GT3 USA League here at the Red Bull Ring. We'll be back very soon.
Drop it. Drop it.
Well, after an action-packed first race, so the sprint race has been done and dusted here for round 3 of Season 4 of the IMB Racewear World Series League. US contingent for GT3s as Alex Goldschmidt returning with David Christie. David, we had some cracking battles in the opening race, and there has just been a poll that's just been put on the YouTube chat. Will Harry Wills make it to the podium? There's already one vote, and that person has voted no.
Such optimism. I'm really not liking that. It's and of course I'm the admin on the channel, so I made the thing, so I can't answer it, which is, you know, otherwise I'd be throwing my my weight into that.
100%.
What makes it better is that I know for almost certainly for a fact it would have been Harry Wills voted on that.
It wasn't.
All right, okay, well, there you go then. I'm going to say absolutely nothing else on that. But anyway, listen, brilliant first race. However, not being the cynical, sceptical person, the grumpy old man that I usually am, I don't think we're going to get the same in race 2. I think race 2 is going to be a much more frantic affair. I think that the cars find the limit of these tyres very, very quickly. 25 minutes, 30 minutes, they're going to be spinning an awful lot here. We have got a fewer cars than we did in the EU, but yeah, I'm a little bit cautious on this one.
Yeah, but we did have some, you know, I mean, Paul Busby actually said, that was fun, Harry had me sweating. Well, it just goes to show that Paul Busby, he doesn't normally feature on it because in the UK it's coming up to 20 past 2 in the morning. But at least the main thing is people are definitely interacting in the chat, so don't forget, put your comments in for who you're supporting tonight, because we have got a 50-minute feature race. Of course, the top 10 in the respective classes will be reversed for each of the classes, so Pro, Pro-Am and Am will be switched around a little bit, so we sort of upset the apple cart, David, and that has provided some great strategy calls, some massive overcuts, some massive undercuts over the course of the opening 2 rounds, and I don't think it's going to be that different here at the Red Bull Ring, but with the limited opportunities for overtaking, you're going to have to really have eyeballs on stalks to get a bit more here tonight.
Yeah, you absolutely are, and it's such a strange thing. So I've only raced at Red Bull Ring on the sim a couple of times. Brilliant track, but it's one of those tracks really that, you know, it's kind of, and I hate using this term, but it's kind of point and shoot in these GT3 cars. So what I mean by that is you're on the brakes, you turn the car in, and you hammer down the accelerator. It's just like you brake, turn, accelerate, brake, turn, accelerate. Very few of the corners where you're just sort of, you know, in the infield section, absolutely you'll be kind of easing off and feathering the throttle and things like that. But for the most part, and that's what makes it so difficult, because how many times did we see in race 1 folk just trying to make an overtake by, you know, out braking another car in the corner, they lost control and end up taking out the other car,
or inadvertently taking themselves out in the process, because that can also happen. I mean, hopefully Kai DL's going to have a better time this time around, because that car didn't even make it past the opening lap in the pro class, so hopefully, fingers crossed, Kai DL will have a little bit more of a better run of luck tonight in the feature race. So we'll see what happens, but of course with the mandatory pit stop for all competitors, which can be, if I remember correctly, David, can be taken at any time, but they don't need to take tyres. I mean, it's about the right distance where you can still do a race on a full set of tyres, And if you go into the pits and you do need a new set, you're probably sort of like thinking, what on earth has happened to my setup? Or what have I done wrong? Have I knackered the tyres by having a bit of a tank slapper or going wide? I mean, we saw a lot of drivers getting the tyres incredibly dirty, especially when Chase Wilson had his massive tank slapper just in front of Ashraf El Haddad coming through the exit of turn number 7 and going into T8, for instance.
That's exactly it. Conservation is going to be absolutely massive through this, especially if they are wanting to try and keep those tyres. Personally, I don't think they will do, but like we said before, time and time again, Alex, stranger things have happened, and we're about to find out, more importantly.
Right, let's run you through the grid. So Ryan Koprovsky will start from pole position for the Pro Class ahead of Lewis Colon, with Wilson Brewer, Dan Tenorio, Harry Wills, Dave Meneno, Dean Timms and Paul Busby rounding at the top 8. Kai DL and Taylor Lane will start from the back of the top 10. Nicholas Robinson will start from pole for Pro-Am ahead of Gary Brown, Justin Ristow, Jeff Carollo, Justin Delano, Steve Martinez, John Traynor, Jeremy Littleton, Chase Wilson and Ashraf El Haddad. That's the reverse top 10 with Chris Long and Adam Moy completing the top 12 in that class. Richie Trimaco, James Nunn, Michael Kalaga, James Hebb and Richard Rosado ran at the 17-strong Pro-Am class, with John Casey and Mark Chapman starting on the front row for the Am class. Rick Swan and Ethan Swan alongside each other on row 2. Andrew Hewitt, Matt Scherf, Jason Ahrensberg, Daniel Florea, Michael Fowler and race 1 winner tonight in the Am class. Andrew Rasmussen, Matthew Plaisance, Eric Blumenkrantz, Charles Bichelle, Braden Melling, Paul Joseph and Jake Shear rounding out the 16-strong grid. Apparently Taylor Lane might not be able to take the start. I think he's not showing on there on the timing screen. But the Porsche pace car now brings the Pro Class through into the what will be the final couple of corners. So they started the formation between turns 6 and 7. So not a full formation lap, as the lights are ready to ignite red on the starting gantry as the field makes its way down through into the right-hander here at turn number 9. So Koprovsky and Colon on the front row. Pace car pulls into pit lane. Right, race 2 for round 3 of the IMB Racewear WSL US GT3 League about to get underway. Red lights about to ignite on the starting gantry. So, are we ready? Are we steady? Lights are out. They are underway in the Pro Class, so Koprovsky gets a good run. Brewer, I think, has just got past Colon going into turn number 1. Meneno trying to stick his nose up the inside, past the Mercedes through the front, with his McLaren. And now the Pro-Am class gets underway. Let's see if Nicholas Robinson gets a good start. He does, with Gary Brown alongside, who could, nearly had Justin Ristow looking up the inside going into T1. So Jeff Carollo rounding out the top 4. Justin Delano making some good run ahead of Stephen Martinez. Littleton ahead of Traynor now for 7th position. But now we have the Am class. So looks like we're going to have John Casey leading the field as they go green and gets a good start. That's ahead of Ethan Swan. Rick Swan will be in the Mercedes, in the BMW, but Matt Scherf looking up the inside, I believe, as they go through across into turns 1 and 2. So John Casey from 046 Racing leading the field and has a comfortable nearly 6/10 of a second advantage. Ryan Koprovsky leading the field, and look at the gap he's got over Wilson Brewer. Lewis Colon in 3rd. Dave Meneno being challenged by Harry Wills. Paul Busby's already up into 7th position, up from 10th place. And now as we complete the opening lap, Ryan Koprovsky now has a 1.167 second lead over Wilson Brewer. But it's closing up in the battle for the lead, and the train is a bit more concertinaed here in the Pro-Am class. But Nicholas Robinson, the Florida-based driver in the number 23 BMW M4 GT3, will bring the Pro-Am class around the final corner and leads the way. Justin Ristow trying to close in on Gary Brown, whereas Ethan Swan is now leading the Am class ahead of John Casey. Looks like that's Mark Chapman in the number 18 car, who is not, I think, at full speed. Well, The thing is, Chapman is meant to be in the Pro-Am class, I believe. Jeff Carollo trying to close in on Justin Delano. He's gone Jeremy Littleton not too far behind. Steve Martinez, John Traynor, Ashraf El Haddad and Adam Moy rounding out the top 10 positions. But Gary Brown at the moment is looking really, really good in that Porsche. Justin Bristow is also looking close to Nicholas Robinson here, David, because they're covered by just under a second. That's the top 3. Bit of a repeat of what we saw in the Pro-Am class, but there has been a bit of a drama. A little bit in the Am class, a bit further back. Michael Fowler in the number 54. We're going to have a replay. Now, this is coming through turn 3, and there was already a bit of drama. So I think that was Andrew Hewitt that was involved in there. There was another car actually just coming through shot. I was just trying to catch the number. That was the number 14, I believe, Rick Swan. And this is going to be what's happening going into T1. So we're going to get another replay here. And, oh, yeah, just a tag from Hewitt on the back of Rick Swan. Turns him around. Hewitt in the barriers. And Fowler manages to avoid and threads the eye of the needle. And there's more dramas. John Casey having dramas, and he's dropped out of the top 10. He's actually running in second position. So more dramas in the Am class. So we're going to go to a replay here. Now, this is coming down the hill. So this will be going into turn number 4. So Daniel Florea in the number 20 car is just behind. Oh, and Casey might have just lost it all on his own, and Florea had nowhere to go.
Do I get to say that I was right about this being a much more chaotic second race? I don't know what it is. It's just.
I think there's 4 little words that could make, give you so much joy. I told you so.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't want it to be. It's just that it seems to be that they want to push things that little bit harder in this race here, and but still, it's cracking fighting that we've got going on here. Andrew Rasmussen just holding on to that position, and that's not actually that's Matt Scherf that's just up there as well now.
Yeah, he's got Jason Ahrensberg, and I think that is Jake Scher towards the outside. Ahrensberg could be very, very unlucky or lucky here. Scher plants it to the outside. It's going to get the run of momentum round the outside of turn number 3. Jake Scher could get through for P5. It's a bit nip and tuck because they're both side by side coming out of turn number 3. They come down the dip down here into turn 4, and oh no, that was Matthew Plaisance. So they're actually battling over P4, and again it's switching quite significantly. Braden Melling, he said, well, I want to get into the top 5, and a 10th into the way in this race, he's already up to P8. So I think he was, when I asked him about his optimistic thoughts, well, if I can get into the top 10, top 5, then I'll be happy. Wilson Brewer in the meantime, battling away with Luis Colon for P3, and Harry Wills is only 4/10 away. Paul Busby looking up the inside of Dan Tenorio, and looks to be making that move through as he wants to continue his unbeaten streak here in the Pro class. Thinks better of it as they go through down the hill through turn 6, now into the next left-hander at turn 7. So we've seen it before where Busby has just absolutely timed it to perfection, so we'll see how he gets on. He's currently up 3 places from the beginning of this race, starting down in P10. He's now up to P7 as we take a look back to what will be a really, really great battle here. Gary Brown from Vulture Motorsports now leading in Pro-Am.
Brilliant little pack here. The fact that Pro-Am have still got 10 cars within 4 seconds of the lead right now, it's brilliant fighting. And the thing is, this is going to really kind of bunch up together very, very quickly once you start seeing that leader getting attacked and clawed back in. Then you're going to see Robinson, Delano, Risto, Carollo, Littleton, Martinez and Traynor. Any one of them could be taking the honours in the Pro class tonight. I think you're spot on about Mark Chapman. I switched him up to the Pro-Ams because he went on the pace lap with the Pro-Am group. I wonder if he accidentally went up with a group he wasn't supposed to, and he's dropped all the way back to the AMs.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that one, David. And there is Mark Chapman. He's actually at the back end. He's behind Michael Kulaga at the moment. So yeah, I think Mark Chapman, if I remember correctly, yeah, he is in the AM class. Coming into this race evening, he was actually 14th in the classification. Now he's actually trying to move on. Oh, hang on a second. Is that Andrew Rasmussen? Rasmussen, do not tell me that Rasmussen at this point in time is actually leading the... Ethan Swan is the one that's actually leading the class. And de facto, that basically puts Mark Chapman into second place in the class as well. So yeah, like you say, it's caused a little bit of a problem with our timing screen. So effectively, this is the battle for the class lead, isn't it?
Not a problem anymore because I've just went and fixed it. There we go, job done. Right,
Happy
yeah,
days.
exactly. But I mean, what a performance from Rasmussen to get himself all the way back up there just now. This is just, I just don't know which way this is going to go just now. The problem is that this is like this every single way all over the track. You've got Brewer and Louis Rivera Colon here, but also Harry Wills up the back there, and you know how impatient Harry Wills is.
We saw that at Hockenheim.
Exactly, and it's usually to his own detriment. But again, back with the Pro Battle here, just like Pro-Am, you've now got, what's that, 8 cars within 3 seconds of each other. This is madness.
Yeah, Luis Colon looking to try and get through, and Wilson Brewer. So Brewer leading, and there's Dave Menano. Harry Wills pulls to the inside. This is coming out of turn number 4, going into T5. They're going to head into the left-hander very shortly. Dave Menano could throw one up the inside of Harry Wills, and that is now going to be, well, there's Paul Busby. Whilst everyone's been closing in, Busby's just been on an absolute tear. Mark Chapman less than half a second across the line behind Ethan Swan, who currently leads the AM class. Daniel Florea, and that was, well, that's Charles Bachel, who's just had Fowler just go round past him. That was Michael Fowler. So that is another change. And then Wilson Brewer, that train, that's going to be the full length of the field, as Brewer was looking up the looking up the inside of Kaprowski on that particular occasion. Harry Wills, well, no, it's Kaprowski's 3.1 seconds up. And look, it's side by side by side. It's like 2 in a row. It's like everyone's trying to get into Noah's Ark as Harry Wills gets past Luis Colon. Dave Menano sends it up the inside of the Mercedes. So Colon loses out big time going into turn 3, and Harry Wills now makes it through into 3rd place. So he is in a podium paying position.
Beautiful stuff there, and I think Paul Busby just unfortunately got caught onto the back end of Louis Rivera Colon there. A little bit of contact going into that right-hander there. Straight up the inside, that was Kai DL, wasn't it, or Dan Tenorio. So these two are technically teammates, but technically didn't save them earlier on tonight. They were still absolutely knocking lumps out of each other, and I expect more of the same tonight. However, I get a little bit worried.
I was a bit worried there, because that was absolutely brilliant there from Kai DL, planting the Lamborghini towards the outside of Dan Tenorio to keep that 7th position. Right, here's a replay. This is Charles Bachel. Now this is coming down the hill. This is going to be into the next left-hander. He's going to bump on the curves. That's through turn 3. At least that was a little bit of not code brown, but clean up on aisle 3, as Ethan Swan gets passed by Andrew Rasmussen, and now, well, Mark Chapman is a little bit further away in the distance, probably to the tune of about 1.6 seconds. So good move there by Rasmussen, who's looking to pick up his 3rd successive victory on the bounce. He picked up the feature race win back at the Hockenheim ring. Wilson Brewer still battling away with Harry Wills. The gap was just under 0.16 of a second as they went through turn 3. A great run by Wilson Brewer, the Mid-South based driver in the number 16 car. But Harry Wills is just absolutely thinking about when he's going to be able to send it up the inside of Wilson Brewer, but Brewer just keeps it nice and well pinned. That could possibly give the opportunity for the likes of Menano, Colon and Busby, who's now up into P6 and has got behind Kai DL, who's managed to pull a little bit of a gap, about 0.6 on Dan Tenorio, after they had that great little side-by-side exchange through turn 6 and 7. We're right on board with Harry Wills in the number 95. He's very, very close to Brewer. He's going to get a little bit of a slipstream here. Is he going to think about sending it up the inside through into turn number 9? No, he thinks better of it. Runs a little bit wide in the exit curbing through into T10, who runs wide. About the same from the pair of them, and a little kick off of the stones, but Wills is really in the slipstream now. The Please No Punterino Jimmy Broadbent sticker on the back of Wilson Brewer's car as they go through into turn 1, and that's Harry Wills up the inside through T1. Nice and neatly done as Paul Busby gets past Colon for 5th place.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff there to see that double move from those cars there. You've got a lot of action all going through. You've got Charles Michel still trying to recover after having that little bit of a spin here, but the AM battle is kind of petered out a little bit just now. Mark Chapman, oh, we've got a huge chaos going on at the pros. Let's check in on them.
And that was
What's
Dan Tenorio.
happened with their Wills?
Oh, I'm wondering if there was a little bit of a drama. We're going to go to a replay now. So this is Paul Busby, and that is Lewis Colon behind. So what's going to happen here? Oh no, there was a tag. There was a tag. That was Wilson Brewer on Harry Wills, and I don't really know what to say about that. But Harry Wills has just been unceremoniously dumped outside of the top 5. He's now 8th on the road. We're going to have a look at this aerial shot here. So you've got Wilson Brewer. Now this is going through into turn number 3, hard on the brakes. Brewer looks to go up the inside. There's going to be contact very shortly, and it's on the right rear of Harry Wills through turn 3. Dave Meneno switches to the inside. He bumps Brewer from behind, so that concertina's the McLaren. Wills is trying to spin his tyres out of the way, and he does get through. And, well, Dean Timms now goes up to 5th place. Lewis Colon might have suffered damage. He's just gone into pit road with just under 15 minutes of this 50-minute race. This has been the most chaotic feature race so far this season in the USA League.
Yep, called it. This is exactly what we saw earlier on, the feature race for the EU lot as well, and I can't for the life of me explain why it's so different. We're less time than we had in the 25-minute race earlier on, but for some reason drivers are much more inclined to get their elbows out and be a little bit rough with everyone. See what I mean? Akraf El Haddad and Jeff Carollo actually coming to blows there.
Oh, they really need to watch their P's and Q's as they go side by side into T3. El Haddad will have the inside line on Carollo, but the Lamborghini might have a bit more traction coming out of the corner. Runs a little bit wide coming out of turn number 3. So Carollo keeps the position as, oh, there's more dramas, and that's Ryan Kaprowski. Oh no, again for the second race in a row, Ryan Kaprowski. Now, who on earth was that alongside? That might have been Andrew Hewitt, I believe, who's just done an RTG, return to garage. And, oh, they're all scrambling. No, it was Kaprowski that lost the back end, and it sent Hewitt off the circuit. And
I think he
Hewitt
got hit.
Yeah,
if you watched that again.
Oh, it was another. Yeah, he got the. Well, he got his
That-
secondary hit. So you're going to see here. There's when the car loses it. There's the number 43 coming into shot. Yeah, so Kaprowski fishtailing all over the place, collects Andrew Hewitt, who's an unwilling victim. You can see the scuffs on the right rear wheel arch. And Kaprowski has also put it into pit lane as well. Paul Busby now comes into the pit lane. And he's... Oh, what on earth has happened to Paul Busby? That's a bit of a drama.
Busby just came into pit lane.
Yeah, he just came into pit lane, but he's just dropped all the way down to like 39th position overall, which is
Oh, he
unusual.
jumped to the pits. He didn't go to the pits, he jumped to the pit lane. Wait a minute, what happened there? Hang on a second. Has he maybe gone past his pit box? Or has he gone too fast in and got a penalty?
Possibly. Well, we're just going to see. He's slowing it down. He's running. Yeah. It looks to be fairly steady coming
That
into
looks
pit
very
road.
fast.
Well, it looks steady. It looks, yeah. And he's hit the building.
I think he's alt F4'd out of that one.
Oh,
That's
drama.
that's my opinion on that one.
I'll keep an eye on the YouTube chat at the moment, but it has really caused that dramas. Oh,
Wow!
that who was that? That was possibly Dan. Was that that was a
Matt
Porsche?
Sheriff.
Oh my goodness me, Matt Scherf in the number 43 car, who was actually the car that we saw behind Ryan Kaprowski, who had that fishtail. So more dramas that you can shake a stick at. So Matt Scherf, now this is coming down in towards turn 4. He's going to throw it up the inside, and he just loses the back end on his own. Several cars
Lucky
avoiding.
boy.
He was a very, very, oh dearie me, that was definitely clean up on aisle 3 and a coke round all at the same time. 17
What's
minutes down.
this?
I just cannot believe what I'm seeing. There's Chase Wilson, Jeff Carollo, you've got Ashraf El Haddad, I think you've got also Adam Moy and Chris Long in broad, and there's three wide coming up the hill through into turn number 3. So Moy and Long have one went one side, so Moy to the outside, Long to the inside on either side of Ashraf El Haddad going into the approach through turn 2. Heading up into turn number 3, and both the Mercedes have made it through. Richie Tremaco's made a little bit of a comeback here in the Porsche in the number 94, so he's about less than 9/10 of a second, maybe not even make it that, closing into Ashraf El Haddad. Well, that gap's been more than half. It's about less than 4/10 of a second. So this has just really, this race has completely changed everything. So Paul Busby was on course for possibly a 6th successive race victory this season. And after what happened in pit lane, he's been in the pits for nearly 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and that car ain't going anywhere. What can we say so far, David? I'm absolutely speechless.
I'm thoroughly regretting going and making myself a cup of coffee at the halfway point there, because I don't need any more stimulation than what we're getting through this. This is unreal, the amount of action that's going on here. I mean, this is now, it's also the fact that, like, we're just seeing chaos, absolute chaos left, right and centre here, and Jake Sherrer's had another massive issue. Oh sorry, Jake Sherrer rather, it was Matt Scherf that we saw last time. So what on earth has happened? Oh, that is a limping Mercedes there.
And Paul Busby's just put in the driver chat on Discord, there goes my 100% record. Right, here's Jake Sherr in the number 62 car. Now this is going into turn number 4. This has been a bit of a problem corner for a lot of people, and he's dropped it on the point where everyone else that seems to have gone a little bit wide coming out of turn 4, he manages to get it back going again, lights up the tyres. So that just goes to show that corner is really catching people out tonight, as here is a bit of a gaggle. Wilson, Carollo, I think Long's in there as well. Chris Long ahead of Adam Moy. There is a Mercedes actually in between them all, so might be one of the back markers. Luis Colon is one of the first pro drivers to actually pit, and he spent about 12.2 seconds in the pit lane, so he decided to go for the massive undercut. Dean Timms now, in the meantime, is between Dan Tenorio and Harry Wills, who has managed to recover. I mean, despite the fact that Paul Busby has had it was 5 wins out of 5 up until just now, as still Richie Tremaco. Oh, that's a big old spin. That was Traynor, and who's just gone backwards into the barriers and has lit up the rear tyres again, and nearly had a bad, well, as the Aussies would call it, a bit of a bad redress, if anyone might remember Garth Tander and Scott McLaughlin a couple of years back at the just off the exit of the Chase and Conrod Straight at Mount Panorama. Now Chase Wilson still trying to close in on Jeff Carollo, but Chris Long is looking rather menacing right now, David.
Isn't he just? And I'm honestly, I don't even know where to look right now because of all of the chaos that is going on right now. Ashraf El Haddad, it was who ended up getting sent round backwards there. So that, I mean, Ashraf El Haddad was challenging for a podium position at one point. So it's just crazy to see how this is all unfolding in front of our very eyes here.
Mamma mia is an understatement right about now, and there's more dramas. Wilson Brewer, that's out of turn 9, and he's returned to garage. He's done. They are falling down by the wayside. Kai DL manages to slow it into pit lane. We can have a look here. So this is Wilson Brewer. This will be coming down towards turn number 4. Well, turn number 9.
Way too late on the brakes. Oh!
Fishtailing and bang, and rolls it.
Wow. That is...
How that ended up back on all 4 wheels is beyond me. But that was... We're going to have a look on board. So coming down the hill in towards turn 9. Tries to turn in. Car goes straight on. Fishtails and wallops straight in.
I don't understand that. I really don't understand that at all. I mean,
I'm going to have a... Paul Busby has just put speechless upside down smiley face, unfortunately, in the YouTube chat.
Alright.
So Jeff Carollo. Well, it's all kicking off now. Dean Timms, as there's more dramas this time for Jeff Carollo, because Chase Wilson has got through. Robinson now is in 4th behind Justin Riestow. So there's a lot of changes happening. Kai DL's been in the pits for a very, very long time. 55 seconds for the Lamborghini. Make that close to a minute, so whether he's repairing damage. As Chris Long trying to get through. Kai DL. Oh, right, where is Kai DL?
I think
he's out.
that is, yeah, that's him giving up the ghost on that one, I'm afraid.
Oh, dearie me, they're dropping like flies in the Pro class. I hate to think how many we've actually got left out of this race. But Chase
5.
Wilson, so half the field in the Pro class, so it's been an absolute a race of decimation here at the Red Bull Ring in the feature. And I think, well, Andrew Hewitt has just put in the driver chat, well, I guess this week will be part of my drop scores. Not at all surprising.
I love how passive-aggressive the drivers are in the chat as well.
I know. But Chase Wilson still being hunted down by Jeff Carollo as they go through into turn 1 once again. Chase Wilson gets a better run. Here's Braden Melling. He's now into 5th position, having got past Daniel Florea. Up ahead he's got Jason Arensberg. And Jeff Carollo now being challenged by Chris Long. Chris Long to the outside. This is going into turn number 3. Chase Wilson looking up the inside of another car just in front. Which probably that is a lesser spotted Lamborghini. Well, that's probably one of the other cars from one of the other classes, maybe the AM class, I'm not 100% sure. But Carollo battling away with Moy. So that is, well no, that might be, yeah, there we go. There's Jeff Carollo. So Chase Wilson has managed to get himself up into P5 into the Pro-Am class. He did finish outside of the top 10 in the opening race, but he's made a good run so far. Daniel Florea battling away with Jason Arensberg as Florea sends it up the inside through turn 3. This could open the door, depending on how wide Jason Arensberg goes. And there's Braden Melling. So this is a battle for a genuine 4th place in the class. Now head back to the sharp red door. That was a bit of a run wide there from Nicholas Robinson. He pulls to the inside, coming down the main straightaway on Justin Riestal, with Justin Delano again now leading the way in this class, which will be the Pro-Am class, because Justin Delano, and it's a Porsche 1-2, because Gary Brown is having an absolutely sterling run so far. It's only 2.1 seconds behind, but it's a Porsche 1-2. And there is James Nunn. Oh, he's not had a good run, has he? The number 75.
He really hasn't. And again, it's down to that final corner where the car just hooks onto the grass there. And in fact, oh, it's a slow down penalty. That's what it is. And he just stops on the track and gets going again. Very bizarre. Oh, more chaos.
That was John Casey. I recognised that livery straight away. That was John Casey. That was coming out of turn number 3. Oh, dearie me. John Casey not having a good run. He started on pole position for this race. We're now halfway through it with just over 25.5 minutes completed, 50 of this 50-minute race. So we're going to see a replay here. This is Jake Shear, the number 62. What happens here going into turn 3? Oh, well, he just goes straight on. And I think he saw the charge of the cavalry behind and just went, eek!
And just like medic. I ain't even in this one. You guys do you. I'm just gonna do me. And I wouldn't blame them, because by which point I'd be rather frustrated and shouting at things as, good lord, 3-car battle here for 4th place in Pro-Am. Chase Wilson ahead of Nicholas Robinson and Chris Long here, Alex. This is sketchy stuff. And in fact, I just realised Jeff Carollo and Adam Moy still in this little fight as well.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Traynor as well. He's not too far off this battle, but that's a bit tetchy there. Chris Long looking to the outside of Nicholas Robinson going through into turn 3. Let's see if the Mercedes gets the power down nicely.
Wow!
That's a great move from the Mercedes. So Long ahead of Robinson. Turn 3, if you switch it to the outside, I think you do get a little bit better traction. We have seen that quite a few times so far, but with 26 minutes and 45 seconds completed so far, let's run through the top 3 in the respective classes. So at the moment, well, there's been a change. Dave Meneno now leading. There's Dan Tenorio and Harry Wills, who ran at the top 3 in the classes, separated by just 0.3 of a second. They ran at the top 3, and there's 2nd and 3rd in the Pro class. So Dave Meneno looking hot to trot at the moment in the McLaren, having made the switch for this round of the championship. Let's have a look at the Pro-Am class in terms of their top 3 leaders. I think it is going to be, that is Justin Delano that is leading the way in that class. So Justin Delano leading in the Pro-Am classification. And behind him he's got Gary Brown, so it's a Porsche 1-2. Justin Riestau rounding out the top 3, because I've just seen that both Chase Wilson and Richie Tremaco have decided to pit. And at the moment in the AM class, it is Mark Chapman who has a slender, well, not even a lead, because Andrew Rasmussen, who's looking for his 3rd straight victory on the bounce in the Audi, is closing him down. So that's the battle for the AM class lead. And then in 3rd position is the number 4. Ethan Swan. Well, it was Ethan Swan until Daniel Florea just got past him. Ethan Swan has just pitted, so Daniel Florea rounding out the top 3 in the AM class. And these battles have been waging so much harder this time round, as Dan Tenorio and Harry Wills are battling over 2nd place in the Pro class. They're covered by just over 0.3 of a second, but look in the background. Have you got the Jaws music on standby, David? Because there's Dean Timms. Who needs copyrights infringement? Nobody.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. That's my own custom version of it. I own the copyrights, honest. Right, Chris Long has had enough of Justin Rousseau, wants to make a move up the inside there. Job done. Very, very nicely done indeed.
Yeah, and he's got, now Justin Riestau has got Nicholas Robinson right behind him. A little bit more of a run wide by the BMW. Jeff Carollo and Adam Moy rounding out the top 7 in the class. A 5-way scrap over what will effectively be 3rd position. So Chris Long was a little bit of a run wide there from Justin Riestau. So will Harry Wills make it to the podium on this race? No have said 80%. Yes have said 20. Well, we got 20 minutes to just over 20 minutes to see if that actually transpires or not. That just depends on Harry more than anything, and hopefully he doesn't have an Alexander Wirtz moment where he says, "Yeah, I'll just run out of talent." Let's say that he's just had an off track.
The great thing is that I can't run out of talent, Alex, because I never had any to begin with in the first place. So kind of win that argument by default there. But listen, the problem with it is that a lot of these drivers, they keep pushing and pushing and pushing. They don't know when to kind of stop. Essentially, is I guess the point I'm trying to make here, because when these cars have their limits, these drivers have their limits, and if you push it too hard and you go way over that limit, that's when either you cause an accident with other cars or you end up head first into the wall. Yeah,
very true. And Harry Wills has just opted to go into the pits, folks. So, well, what dramas will unfold over the next? That's majorly crabbing. Did you see that? What on earth has Harry Wills done? Because that car had a massive dent on the left-hand side, and it was crabbing like a good one. Let's have a look here. Oh no, it's going to happen. Bang.
Do you know that's about 5 seconds after I closed that poll?
Harry, what, right, what, we are...
I guess at 80% you can go and cash your chips in, because winner chicken dinner on that one. There is no way.
Stuttgart sideways, because that back end was crabbing to the right hand side. Oh dearie me, Harry, what have you done there, mate? John Casey. Well, that back end of that Ferrari is very mangled. The rear wing's not exactly tracking true either. Through into turn 3, he's got a car up the inside, and John Casey doesn't have any dramas through there. It was just like a little, he just got out of the way, and Harry has now been in the pits for just over 60 seconds, so... Well, the only thing that he can do is get that car repaired and get it back out onto the circuit, so... oh well, never mind. There's always a next time. There's always next week.
Oh dear, that was... I don't know what to say on that one. That's a difficult one to stomach.
I'm actually going to say the following. He yeeted himself into the barriers by mistake.
I don't think he yeeted himself into the barrier. I think he yeeted himself into the nether realm. That was sort of head first into oblivion there. And it's so frustrating because, again, it's just a case that he's just pushed way too hard with that car, and you know, I don't know.
I think we've exercised everything that we're going to say on that one, because Harrow's now been in the pits for over 120 seconds. Meanwhile, the battle in the Pro-Am class has really kicked off, because you've got John Traynor right behind Justin Ristow and Jeff Carollo. So at the moment, and that is the battle for what is effectively P4 in the class. So, that was a bit of an attempted send there by Jeff Carollo, but he nearly opened the door for John Traynor to get through, as we're coming into the final 17 minutes of this sprint, of this feature race here at the Red Bull Ring. So still all to play for, and every single driver has to do a mandatory pit stop for the 50-minute feature race. Jeff Carollo still hanging on to 5th position, just keeping an eye a little bit further behind. I mean, Chase Wilson has pitted a little bit earlier than some of the other drivers, as John Traynor nearly went out the back bumper of Jeff Carollo going through turn number 9. They come out of turn 10, and Alex Moyer's got a real good run on John Traynor here for 6th place.
It's fascinating to see, but this is exactly what I was saying during the beginning of the first race, Alex. The fact that, you know, you can try and fire it into the corner, but 9 times out of 10 it's this you know, run up the roads. And I've got really, really bad news about our beloved Harry Wills, who is, I think it's safe to say, mangled in that car.
That car is completely sideways, ain't going any further, and I think we're going to end up Pro class. Oh my! Harry, you know what? We're going to have to get him in for a post-race chat, saying, "What on earth were you thinking, man? What on earth were you thinking?"
That is amazing. I love it. Look at it. What even is that? Do you remember that meme from a couple of years ago? What are those? That's, oh my lord.
Harry, I'm sorry, mate. You just yeah. The amount of steering. Look at the amount of steering. I hate to think what it's going to be like going into this next left-hander. This is what on earth? Yeah, I mean, the steering was absolutely knackered, so no matter how much time that car was going to be in the pits. Well, now we concentrate onto a bit more of the seriousness of this race, because we've got 15 minutes to go. Jeff Traynor gets a very good run coming out of turn number 10 on Jeff Carollo. And he looks to the inside, 2 wheels on the outside of the white line, 2 wheels on the inside, and he's going to get the move done before they hit the apex. That's a great bit of anticipation there from John Traynor to get through on Jeff Carollo. And then Adam Moy is right in the thick of things. 2 Mercedes and a Lamborghini going up out of turn 1, heading through into the turn 2 left-hand kink. Who's going to get the best run of the braking? Carollo's got a door opening here. He looks up the inside. Traynor can't get the switch back, but he's going to get the traction coming around the outside of the corner. Do not try and tell me you are going to keep that car planted around the outside of the rundown to turn 4. They rub door panels. Oh, John Traynor has really, really gotten feisty as Jeff Carollo keeps it pinned round to the inside. Does he run a little bit wide in the exit of the corner? He will do. Traynor looks to the inside as they come through turn number 4 and turn 5. Now into turn 6. Traynor still looking up the inside. Great spatial awareness by these two. Down out of turn 6. Carollo gets the launch out of the corner and keeps Traynor behind for 6th position. Brilliant stuff there by the 2 drivers. Epic.
That was absolutely stunning. That's exactly how they should be racing. You can tell there was a little bit of aggression, shall we say, and that's right onto the back end. I think that might be a connection issue. And that is a connection issue. That was 3 cars that were involved in that there, and I've got no idea what on earth just happened there. I think that was Jeff Carollo. One of the cars, the connection just went completely, and you saw him have that really strange movement to the side. Let's see if we can get that again here. Right, yeah, so look, he lost it, but it was before that anyway. So let's see if we can go back a little bit further.
The thing was that coming out into turn number 9. The thing was they went into turn 9, and Traynor was actually right up his back bumper. There might have been the slightest of touches, so Corralo's trying to brake. Traynor's probably gone in there a little bit too hot. We're going to have a look through here. So you see how close Traynor is.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's a hit.
That's a hit. So it starts the chain reaction. So by the glancing blow, it spits Corralo out to the right. Car fishtails, goes across and gets
Ends
a
up
tag.
taking everybody else but the 28 out. What? That's I think that's fortuitous, shall we say?
Fortuitous is probably the biggest understatement word you could use right there. And then Dave Meneno now rejoins. He was leading the race, so the race now gets inherited. Race lead gets inherited by Dan Tenorio, with Dean Timms in second position. But yeah, that was a very, very fortuitous moment, I think. And that, oh crikey. And considering the fact that me and David are over in the UK and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, we're using those kinds of superlatives. There is Nicholas Robinson now pulling into pit lane from P3. Ristow's in the pits, Long's in the pits, Al Haddad, Rosado, Heb. All the pit stops are now starting to happen. So we'll get an understanding of who will be our de facto leaders come the end of the pit stop phase very soon, David.
Yeah, and ironically that means now the 28 of John Traynor is in the lead of the Pro-Ams right now, so that is fascinating to see how that is going just now. We've got a big battle going on further down out of the pits though, as Chris Long along with Justin Delano just takes that position from him. Dean Timms into pit lane.
Oh, hang on, did I just see something? There was a car in the barriers. Was there a car in the barriers just then? I think I just spotted. Looked like a Porsche.
Dan Tenorio.
It was Dan Tenorio. Oh my goodness, that car's got a little bit of a biff on the front end now. How on earth did you manage to do that going into the pit lane? Completely and utterly sideways from Dan Tenorio. So I think he might have gone a bit too hot into the pit lane entrance off of turn number 9, and well, he didn't glance. He glanced the barrier, if anything, just out. Oh, that's a proper Code Brown right there. I think there was a few choice words of expletives coming from Dan Tenorio's vocal cords after that one. He was so lucky to get away with that.
Oh yeah, he really, really was there. Yeah, I think thankfully he's obviously avoided any damage here as we go back to this fight for P4 and P5, then Justin Delano and Chris Long. I tell you what, this race definitely hasn't been short of action, but with everything that's going on now, it means that we've got massive spreads all through the field.
And you've probably got a miniature defibrillator by your right hand side, haven't you, David?
Nah, this is all good. I'm enjoying the peace and tranquility now.
Oh, you say that. Could be famous last words there. But yeah, John Traynor leading the Pro-Am class by 1.1 seconds ahead of Adam Moy. At the moment, Moy and Traynor have yet to do their mandatory pit stops. So that could probably put Gary Brown, maybe might put him into the race lead, because now Brown is about 8 seconds ahead of Justin Delano, as that's the number 43 car they've just got past. And that is one of the Porsches that we saw earlier on, Matt Scherf. But we're just under 10 minutes to go. Still the wars wages on here at the Red Bull Ring, with Paul Busby not going to be he's going to be not the only race winner this season so far. Richard Rosado battling away. Well, that is actually with, I think it was possibly with Mark Chapman I just saw there, but Michael Fowler has closed in on, that is the Audi. That's going to be of Ethan Swan for 6th position. Quite a considerable distance ahead of Jason Ahrensberg. Braden Melling, though, however, look at that. He's got himself up into P3. So as John Traynor and Adam Moy have now pitted from the first 2 positions of the Pro-Am class lead. Andrew Rasmussen has now pitted. Now, has Braden Melling pitted? He already has. Paul Kliss yet to pit either, as Justin Ristow. Has Ashraf El Haddad just literally sending it around the outside through turn number 1. That was brilliant. I think Ristow was just coming in a pit lane, so El Haddad got the undercut on Justin Ristow there and takes 7th position in the meantime.
Yeah, that was massively disrespectful, wasn't it? Just like, yeah, I need to go now. I'm just going to drive right round the outside of you into this corner here. Beautiful stuff, beautiful move, and it just shows you that you can make.
Oh, sorry to cut across
go
you
for
there,
it.
David. John Traynor has just been in pit lane for 51 seconds, and Andrew Rasmussen was only in it for 11 minutes and 11 seconds. 11.35 seconds, so I think that Traynor has repaired any damage on that vehicle, because if there was, after that contact with Jeff Carollo, I would imagine, because Jeff Carollo ended up in the pit lane for about 2 3/4 minutes, so John Traynor is not going to be in the top 3, but we go back to the battle in the AM class. Michael Fowler now still chasing down Ethan Swan for position. And there's Justin Delano, who now is just behind Chris Long. So that's going to be rather interesting. So Chris Long actually managing to get past Justin Delano down the start-finish straight. So whether Delano's whether Delano had a bit of a drama is what I'm thinking here. Which means that Gary Brown is the Pro-Am class leader. But we go back to AM, where Michael Fowler still trying to get past Ethan Swan, and that has, well, they've got a Porsche just behind, which might be one of the Pro-Am class cars, but there goes Fowler up the inside of Swan. I think that might be, is that Ashraf El Haddad maybe that's trying to come through there? I'm not 100% sure.
Not sure, I don't think so, but I'll double check for you. Might be 28. I'll find out for you anyway. We'll see who's there.
Right. Paul Busby said he didn't out F4 because he messed up his bit. He got out and F forward because he got murdered by a back marker, and he said the car was a mess before I got to the pits. As Michael Fowler has Swan to the outside, and that might have been Justin Delano, I think, that went. No, that was Dan Tenorio possibly. The number 17 Porsche that got through. So thank you very much for that, Paul. But Robinson really trying to close in on Chumaco, who's just up ahead about 1.3 seconds up the road, as they're just getting past one of the BMWs in front. So Robinson trying to make his way up into the top 5 with just over 5 and a bit minutes still to go here, David.
Just saying what on earth is going on here, because there's just so many incidents that we've had here. Matthew Plaisance has a bit of a slide, and he's almost certainly going to spin it into this final corner here. He does, and that's going to collect Richard Rosardo.
Well, no, that wasn't. That was an Audi. That was an Audi behind. So was that I'm not too sure. That looked very familiar with the Audi itself. Well, here's Richard Rosardo. Now this is going to be going down into turn number 9. He just goes up the inside and loses the back end. Oh, he did that a little bit earlier than what we saw from Dan Tenorio earlier on. Or no, from which of the Porsches was it? It's been a long day. I think it might have been Dan Tenorio that lost the back end going into the pit lane. Charles Michel coming through into turn 3, boots the power down. Well, at least it wasn't a spin or anything. It was I think maybe just overcooked it on the throttle. Justin Ristal has got Adam Moy just behind for 8th position as we're heading into the last 4 minutes. Moy looking for the over-under. Going into the next corner, we'll probably have the inside line on Justin Ristal, and we'll take that position. That's going to be going through turn number 9. So nice move there from Olympus Esports. Adam Moy to take 8th position away. A little bit of damage. Well, you can see that the front splitter on Moy's car is slightly bent. So is the same on Ristal's. We're going to see what happened actually with Paul Busby. Now that is Richard Rosario behind. Now this is coming into turn number 3. Oh, and yeah.
Possibly won't be that one then. I'm just trying to see all of the different issues that Paul has had.
Well, that was the one where he managed to get out of the way. Oh, no. And that was with John Casey, and there was another Porsche involved, and I think that might have been... I'm wondering if that might have been Andrew Hewitt on that particular occasion in the number 7. Right. Yeah. No, it was the number 8 car. It was the
Apparently,
number 8.
apparently there was more to it than. We'll have a look at that.
We'll keep investigating, Paul. We'll keep investigating. 3 minutes to go as we now go back to the battle in the AM class category. Michael Fowler still battling away with Ethan Swan for the last of the top 5 positions as the darkness is starting to rear its ugly head here at the Red Bull Ring. This is Richard Rosado in the number 10 car. Now this is going to be coming down the hill. And that corner again, that's turn 4. He just lost the back end of it, and it was early in the corner. Now we go back to the battle between Justin Ristow and that is Steve Martinez. Martinez is breathing up the tailpipes of the Mercedes going through into turn 1. So that's going to be very, very close indeed. Behind them, they've got the number 31, that's Jeremy Littleton, who's actually 3 laps down off of the race leader, which is Gary Brown, as we're heading into the final couple of minutes. And again, oh no, Luis Colon. Luis Colon has lost it. Oh my goodness me. More dramas in the pro class. And Paul said, it's all good, I'm going to bed, 3:10 AM, RIP. Bless you, Paul.
That's an F right there.
Big F in chat, and we'll see you for next week at Interlagos, Paul. But Martinez and Ristow still battling away over position. So it's a bit too close for comfort. Martinez has dropped off the battle. James Hebb has had an off-track excursion. That will probably be toward. That looks to be turn 1. So the number 77 has had a bit of an evening to forget here, to be honest with you. So Martinez is about 2.1 seconds behind Adam Moy, and then, well, he's actually got past Justin Ristow, so Ristow's had a bit of a drama. We now head to the battle as we've got 60 seconds on the clock. Dave Meneno is currently leading overall in the number 2 car, McLaren, as Chris Long and Justin Delano go into battle, coming through out of the exit of turn number 3. 2.5 tenths was separating them, so they now make their way down in towards turn number 4 at about over 150 miles an hour. And Delano round the outside through turn 4 into 5. Delano pulled out one of the moves of the season last time out in Hockenheim, where he managed to pick up a race victory. As it is getting very, very close indeed. I think we're now on the final lap, because we're about 19 seconds away from the time. So effectively, Dave Meneno and Dean Timms are on the final lap. Dan Tenorio is just about to cross the line to start the 34th and final lap, as Michael Fowler, and that is again Ethan Swan still battling away over that 5th place in the AM category. Just see how. Oh, and Fowler's lost it big time. He nearly takes out the cone. So we've had a bit of cone gate action here at the Red Bull Ring. DRS board remained intact though, however. But Fowler loses out several times, and Ashraf El Haddad has had dramas in the dying stages, and he drops to P10. Just to see what happens here. He just loses it on his own. Eek, Code Brown.
Yeah, you certainly don't want that happening towards the end, do you? Goodness me. Right,
No.
Dave Menino through the final couple of sections, Alex, so it looks like we're away to get our race winner.
Yep, so a switch to the McLaren MP412C has proved to pay dividends, because out of the final corner, Dave Menino takes the feature race here at the Red Bull Ring. And in second position, another second position in a row, Dean Timms. But here we go, Chris Long and Justin Delano come to blows. And Long is off and keeps it out of the barriers. That was the battle for P2 in the Pro-Am class. Andrew Rasmussen, however, has taken another win in the AM category again. 2 in a row. That makes it 3 on the bounce. Dan Tenorio rounds out the top 3. Gonna have another look here. So Delano, oh, that might have been a little bit of netcode there from Delano, I believe, and it just yeah, I think that could have been just a little bit of netcode there, because you saw Dan Tenorio's car, Justin Delano's car going a little bit towards the right hand side, didn't you?
Yeah, for me, I saw that a different way. I saw that actually as Chris Long. If we pause that here, if we have a look, it looks like he turns in, see, and he actually tries to turn into the car there. Absolutely no intention or no maliciousness, but yeah, I think that's on Chris Long, unfortunately. But either way, what another brilliant race we've had here tonight. Yeah, I don't think we can say any more than that. It's a fantastic result throughout the fields. A lot of chaos, a lot of carnage, and I think we only had about maybe 30 cars finishing that race there, Alex.
Yeah, well, Michael Kalaga's just crossed the line. Let's take you through the provisional results for the feature race here at round 3 at the Red Bull Ring. So we'll first of all go to the Pro classification, and Dave Meneno takes the victory here at the feature race for the Red Bull Ring by nearly 5 seconds ahead of Dean Timms. You know, Dave Meneno hasn't had a victory this season. He has one now, and that's a maximum 60 points. Dan Tenorio taking P3 with Luis Colon rounding out the top 4 positions, 40% of the field. And what's more, that means that the Paul Busby winning streak is over, I'm afraid, as he ended up in 9th place. Pro-Am, however, Gary Brown picks up his first win of the season ahead of Justin Delano, with Chase Wilson completing the top 3. Richie Tremaco recovering to 4th position after a difficult start to the night, with Chris Long embroiled in that battle with Justin Delano. We did have a little bit of a replay of what happened on the final lap. Well, Chris Long finished in 5th ahead of Adam Moy, Ashraf El Haddad, Stephen Martinez, Nicholas Robinson, Michael Kalaga and Justin Ristow completing the top 11 that finished on the lead lap. James Hebb, Richard Rosado and John Traynor 14, having a lap down off the leaders. Jeremy Littleton, Jeff Corolla and James Nunn classified at the bottom end of the field. And then we go to the AM classification, and it's 3 in a row for Andrew Rasmussen, starting from 10th, picked up the victory after 50 minutes of racing. Mark Chapman, Braden Melling, Mr. Optimism, managed to take it not just into the top 5, but also the top 3, picking up a 3rd place ahead of Daniel Florea. Ethan Swan rounding out the top 5. Michael Fowler, Jameson Arensberg, Jake Shear, Rick Swan and Paul Joseph completing the top 10 positions. Charles Bushell being the last driver classified on the same lap as the leaders. Eric Blumenkrantz was a lap down, so was John A. Casey, along with Matt Scherf, Matthew Plaisance and Andrew Hewitt retiring a bit earlier on in the race. Well, what we now have, we have a few more drivers to have a chat with. So first things first, let's bring in Mark Chapman from the AM classification. So, Mark, a very, very good evening. Firstly, congratulations on your 2nd place in the feature. Well done.
Oh, it was a fun race.
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
You're definitely right. I think myself and David lost count of the amount of times that we were seeing people either making mistakes at corners or having incidents. But to get through all of that and to pick up PT, you must be pretty happy with that one, considering, you know, Hockenheim, we didn't see there.
It was, Hockenheim, it's sort of things out of our control, unfortunately. It was a cracking race. I mean, like Andrew Rasmussen, it didn't give me a minute's peace up the front there for the most of it. Like it was a really great battle, and it didn't come down to much in the end. So I did enjoy that. Like it's as I say, I believe that we had this potential, we had this speed in the car all season, and I think we've finally had a good chance to show it. We had a little bit of a fluff at the start because I didn't realise I was on pole position and went with the back of the Pro-Am field, and slowed myself down and let a few of the guys pass to try and make amends for that. But it's been a good race and some quality racing with some great guys.
And also, looking at the opening round of the season, you had a pretty good result in the feature race. Didn't go well in the sprint, but you got some points on the board here for both races of the Red Bull Ring. And of course, Interlagos is going to be a completely different kettle of fish in a week's time. How are you feeling ahead of that one?
Oh, Interlagos and I don't tend to get along too well. So I think it's going to be a bit of a case of turn up and see how we are on the day. I mean, like, we had amazing pace here, absolutely amazing pace here. Hopefully it carries through to Interlagos. But I guess we'll just have to see how we turn up on the day.
Well, Mark, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to me here post-race, and we'll see you in a week's time at Interlagos.
No worries, thanks guys, and again, thanks to the series sponsors IMB Racewear and our team sponsors at Staunch Apparel.
Brilliant. Big thank you there to Mark from Celeritas Racing for having a quick chat to us. Well, actually, without further ado, let's bring Gary Brown in, because we haven't spoken to him for a little while. Well, Gary, that was a turn up for the books tonight in the feature race. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do if you can stay connected to the server.
Yeah, because you were having some problems last time out at Hockenheim, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, both Hockenheim and Spa. So yes, I'm happy to be connected the whole race, and better things happen that way.
I mean, it just goes to show that the Porsche is a pretty stand-up car around here at the Red Bull Ring, and the handling characteristics really suited its prowess here tonight, didn't it? And that showed in your performance. Yeah,
I've been driving the Porsche now, I think, for a couple of years, and I'm starting to maybe start to understand the thing. And yeah, even before when I first started, I liked Red Bull Ring. It's just a fun track, and you're right, the Porsche does handle really, really well here, so it's good.
Brilliant. Well, Gary, well done.
Thank you.
Thoughts about Interlagos next week?
Well, Interlagos has not been my favorite track of all time, for sure. But the one thing I do love about these league races is that you get a week to prepare, and by the time race day comes, I usually tend to like the tracks a lot more. So I just got some work to do, and we'll see how it works out next week.
Brilliant. Well done tonight, Gary, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day, and thanks for the broadcast.
Brilliant. A big thank you there to Gary. Let's bring in our Pro Class winner, actually, a new race winner this season. The Paul Busby winning streak is over. Let's bring in Dave Meneno in the number 2 car. Dave, firstly, well done. You won the feature race, and Paul Busby no longer has the dominant streak intact.
Yeah, thanks. That was an interesting race. I felt at times I must be throwing banana peels outside the side of my window, because everyone who kept gaining on me then found a way to either spin out or make a mistake or whatever. But yeah, I just kept it clean.
So did you have your Mario Kart invisibility star with you as well, just in case?
I needed it throughout a few moments for sure.
I mean, an inspired choice, switching to a car that a lot of people haven't really chosen this season. You decided to switch to the MP412C. What was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I mean, this year the Porsche is so much quicker than every other car, and I figured if I'm not gonna be in the quickest car, then at least I'll be in the one I've enjoyed driving the most, which is the McLaren. So, I've driven this and had some success with it a few seasons back, and just really enjoyed the way it handles and the way it kind of keeps you on edge. So, it's certainly not a boring drive.
Yeah, and it's great to see that car on the grid. But yeah, when you said that you were hoping that banana peels were going to work, obviously your tactic, figuratively, not literally, of course, worked. But to have that confidence coming here to the Red Bull Ring and being able to fight with everybody must have been a pretty good feeling as well.
Yeah, once I got in the rhythm, I felt like I had pretty good pace. I think Harry and Paul definitely were quicker in outright pace. They were usually able to get by me pretty quickly, at least in that first race. But yeah, I know that they both just kind of ran into issues, and so that kind of opened the door for me to get a win if I could keep it clean.
Well, Dave, congratulations on your feature win tonight, and we'll see you in a week's time at Interlagos.
Great, thanks, guys.
Right, okay, so big thank you there to Dave Meneno. Let's bring in one of our other drivers here who definitely had to defend quite a few times tonight. Let's bring in Ethan Swan in the number 4 Audi. Ethan, very good evening. That was a very, very exciting feature race, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was a great way to spend my evening. That was a great endurance race for sure.
I mean, the the feature races with 50 minutes plus an addition plus the mandatory pit stop, you really have to have your eyeballs on stalks when it comes to strategy calls, and the Audi seemed to have a pretty good run here around the Red Bull Ring, didn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a challenge balancing fuel and tires. This only being my 4th race in this series, unfortunately I missed last week. So just getting used to this car a little bit more and kind of being out of practice on this track. So really trying to go in and make sure I wasn't getting caught up in lap traffic coming in from the Pro-Ams and the pros themselves. But overall, I mean, I felt like the pit came at a good time and the car handled really well, and overall it was great competition. And any day that I can finish in front of my dad there, Rick Swan, is a great day, so I can rub that in his face a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he finished in 9th, so you can sort of like say, well, you're going to have to try and get me into Lagos then, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's always a challenge. I'm sure I'll get a call from him in a few minutes. Get a little debrief after the race.
Yeah, but also great battle that you had with Michael Fowler in the 54 Twisted Mercedes until he had his massive drama going through turn 3 a little bit later on. I mean, to have a I've spoken with a few drivers now over the first 3 rounds, and everyone's been really cool about the fact that the driving standards which went a little bit out of the window, I'll be quite completely honest, over the first 15 minutes of tonight's feature race.
Oh yeah.
But in general, the driving standards have been very exemplary. Everyone's having a lot of fun whilst giving each other racing room. There's a lot of banter that goes on behind the scenes, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love some of it. Most of it is pretty kind-hearted. Some of it gets a little bit out there, but I would say for the most part, everything is, it's all friendly competition. We're all here to have fun, and at the end of the day, I'd rather have a good battle on the track than be out there by myself driving around in circles for 50 minutes. And I can say that battle with Fowler there at the end, I wanted the position, but I was a little bit disappointed when it ended. I wanted it to go right to that last lap.
Well, Ethan, well done tonight in your 5th place, and we'll see you in a week's time at Interlagos.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, well, we've got time for one more interview before we wrap things up. Well, we're going to bring in Mr. Optimism. He was planning on a top 5, ended up being the final step of the virtual rostrum. Let's bring in Braden Melling. Braden, your optimism was very much exceeded in that 2nd race. Well done.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very surprised how that went. Like, starting right near the back of the grid and then somehow coming out with P3s. Honestly, I was just not expecting that.
I mean, there was a bit more of the field was somewhat decimated. We had 43 cars due to start the race. Taylor Lane was out before we'd even got the starts underway.
Oh.
But still to come through and take P3, it keeps you very strong in the championship. I mean, Andrew Rasmussen now has 3 wins out of the last 3, so 2 features in a sprint. It's really sort of tightened things up at the top of the championship standings going into Lagos next week. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be tight for the entire season. Like, Andrew, he's a really fast driver, tons of respect for him. Like, he's got the skill on track, and it's just going to be making sure I can compete with that. And it's going to come down to just practice and strategy.
And of course, next week we go to Interlagos in Brazil. Is that a track that's sort of one that you enjoy?
I have a love-hate relationship with that track.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun, like, it's a good track. The racing's always very intense there. But there's just some days when I'm racing on it and just everything goes wrong, and I'm just really hoping that next week isn't one of those days. It has been a while since I've raced on Interlagos, so I'm definitely going to need to spend some time on the track, but I got high hopes for the race. Like, Red Bull Ring I wasn't expecting to do as well as I did in the 2nd race. Like, first race I just got caught up in too many incidents. And then the 2nd race just pulled myself together, and just gotta keep that mentality going into Interlagos.
Well, Braden, congratulations on P3 despite a difficult start to the evening. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I think really before we wrap up, Mr. Christie, have you got any final words before we end things tonight? I hope.
Yes, I do. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. I mean, a huge congratulations to all our winners tonight. Obviously, Dave Moreno isn't a driver that we've used to seeing right up at the top, so great to see that. The fact that only 3 pros actually survived on that lap there kind of says everything. The Pro-Am battle, I think, is going to rage on. It's starting to get a little bit physical from what I was seeing here. But that Am battle as well, really, really enjoyable. I think everybody can be really proud of how they displayed themselves tonight, Alex.
Yeah, well, there's been a little bit of a development because of the winning streak now going out of the window. Paul Busby did not score any points. He DNF'd in the race, so Harry Wills provisionally becomes your new points leader in the Pro class. Chase Wilson extends his lead in the Pro-Am side of things, and I think that Andrew Rasmussen might be in the title fight in the Am class as we head to Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache at Interlagos in Brazil for round 4 next week. A big thank you to all the competitors that have raced around this 4.28 kilometer circuit in Spielberg in the Styrian countryside in Austria. And that's it for round 3 of the IMB World Series League USA GT3. Join us in 7 days' time, where we might get a bit of Brazilian samba, hopefully as long as no one goes sideways at Interlagos. Until then, from myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and my partner in crime, co-commentator and also our broadcast director tonight, David Christie, we bid you a very, very good evening. Thanks for watching. See you soon.